And curiosity was a word that you've used a lot, and but also the courage to then act on what you find is that's quite important to you.
It is. Maybe that's part of like the whole Jesus thing, you know, maybe, you know, I'm like, what is it that I loved so much? And it could be, you know, look, I'm not a Christian, I'm here like talking about Jesus. Yeah. I'm like, he would, you know, go into synagogues and turn over tables like, no, that's wrong.
Just leave this one here though for now.
Yeah, no, this is right. This is nice. This is a nice environment. But I think, you know, yeah, we have, it sounds so like wanky, but we really do have one life, and I'm just like, what do I have to lose? Only my life, which I'm gonna lose anyway.
Yeah.
We're all gonna lose it. So
yeah. Hopefully not this afternoon.
Yeah, hopefully not this afternoon, yeah. But hey, so somebody will in the world this afternoon, you know, it's like, I feel it's on my mind so much that I would rather just kind of be transparent, and I feel like it leads to more things, like even talking to the lady in the cast I mentioned from yesterday, the white lady who was like, I felt really weird there too, you know, and talking and then going, oh my God, like, wow, then you learn something new. You learn that actually most of us are the same, you know, like, yeah. And that's only being curious really has allowed me to kind of discover that.
You talk about your religious background and the stories in the Bible and the stories that captivated you, and that and storytelling is obviously your job, your vocation. And being a misfit and that sort of playing into being a storyteller, the desire to tell stories, putting that above profit or promotion. I think a lot of writers that I've read about can recall some time or moment or period of time in their childhood where they almost had started to have a consciousness of that, of their particular love of stories, or even that the desire to tell stories was inside them. And you talk about your childhood friends and your friends, the girls that you're at school with, and that happy time. Did you have that moment as a child? Do you remember realising that you wanted to tell stories?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I really liked, because I was a poet first, and I really liked John Keats, and we'd learn about him in my GCSEs. And I remember thinking, oh, I like this one, you know, probably because it allowed for curiosity, you know, like, what does this mean? You know, what does this line, what does this stuff mean? So I could probably trace it back to then.
And when you said sort of like calls unto like, did you have an immediate sense of having figured out that you wanted to emulate your favourite storytellers and then tell stories yourselves?
Oh, no. So I became a Christian at like 17 or 18 and started reading the Bible, and then I read Psalms, and then I was like, I like these Psalms. Then I wrote a poem, which was actually called I Am Beautiful, and it was about encouraging people to be aware of their beauty, not because of anything they look like. I was a Christian, so because, you know, you're made by God and you're beautifully and wonderfully made. That was me becoming a writer, and then I went into, there was a Christian pub in Ealing. That's the only pub I'd been to. It was a Christian pub. There's a Christian pub called West Beginnings in Ealing. And I went there. I went there with had my Bible and I had my poem, and I went into this pub, and I went up to the dudes that owned the pub and I said, I would like to read a poem. And they said, no.
That's something that...
And as I walked away...
It wasn't something they did regularly in the pub.
No.
Okay.
And, you know, I walked away, and then they went, wait, come in. Let him hear the first few lines. I'm trying to remember what they were now. Come on.
Well, perhaps they'll
But then they let me do it. They
let you read the poem?
Yeah. They let me stand there and read the fucking poem.
adore this image more than you can possibly say.
Yeah, that was honestly by myself. I just went there. I'm from East London. I went all the way to West, never South, but I went to West. I went to West.
I think that's wise, though, to try and get geographically as far away as possible if you're going to do that, in case your poem's shit.
You know what I mean? I was like, I'm going to travel to the end of the Red Line, Central Line. I'm going to go all the way there, just in case I want to bury this whole thing. I'm going to go to West London.
That's brilliant. And what do you remember the response in the room? I mean, was anyone in there?
Well, no, so it was great. No, there were people there, and I think they liked it, but I know for sure at least one person did, because they said, that was good, can I get your number? And I gave them my number, and then they invited me to do a poem somewhere else. And then I ended up, there'd be like dance shows, and in the middle there'd be like, and here's a poet, as a break from the dance. And so I would just come on and like do some poetry. Seriously. And then I was like, in universities, SOAS, just like the poets here, it's really weird. Because also, I didn't go lectures, but suddenly I was in SOAS as a poet. And a director saw me do a poem at a dance show and said, you should think about acting. And then I was an actor. And then I started writing, because you read plays, and...
Do you still have these poems? I mean, could they be published as a small volume?
Basically, all these things are like, even my poems, they're all on, you can find a bunch of them on YouTube. And even my blogs, I refuse to take anything down, because I like to leave, forms of myself available for people to find, to see that everybody has the right to change. Everybody has the right to evolve. So I'm like, you can still see it now. It's still there. Yeah, go read them.
I think that's great. I mean, there are a lot of teenagers that write poems that would like to probably have burnt them. So I think it's very...
But more like the blogs, my blogs and stuff, you can read how you listen to me now and you read blogs I wrote, which there's an essence of myself, but I look at, I'm like, oh, she was so cute and naive, but I'm like, we should be able to see that. We don't just suddenly, appear, and in 10 years' time, I'm going to be completely different to the way I am now, and I'm like, that should be a process we are all allowed to go on, without shame.
But I think that's very artistically generous of you as well, because you're showing your evolution as an artist. And also to be able to preserve digitally that body of work. I mean, that's a relatively new thing.
Absolutely.
And to be able to put that out there, and that we've all now got a kind of footprint, whether we like it or not, even if it's just emails. A friend of mine, a comedian, Richard Herring, said just something quite interesting on Twitter the other day about how he'd found a bunch of his old letters from when he was a teenager. But what was so unusual for him now was that he doesn't have his response. He doesn't have his side. He's only got the letters he got sent back. Whereas we're actually not used to that now. We have emails, because what we've got on emails is both sides of the story forever. And he was saying some of the letters seem very, very emotional and full of something terribly important, and he has no recollection of what it was, what he said in his letter, like nothing.
Oh my God.
Which that's a real brave new world thing, is that we can preserve digitally our body of work. We can see our evolution. We can see both sides of a conversation on email forever. And are you excited by this technology and the future it may hold? Or
Yeah, I think I am. I think, like with any kind of period of evolving, there's like, even thinking of like fucking growing your teeth, it's uncomfortable. There's a little bit of, oh, this is an adjustment. And I think that's what we're in the middle of with social media but I do believe that what it has allowed for is transparency. And I imagine a future, probably none of us are going to be here, where actually we go through the difficult period where we are, we need to think about the implications of technology on our mental health. But once we are aware of those things, we can use these things without risking ourselves and our, health. So I am excited by it, yeah.
And even, you know, from a philosophical point of view, that is all true, but even from a practical point of view, the actual hardware is affordable. I mean, another comedian, Stuart Lee, was saying, you know, that he gets cross about people videoing his gigs. You know, whatever we think about that, he's sort of resistant to the technology in some respects, but he sort of makes the point where he says, look, you've now got in your pocket something that 15 years ago would have cost about £10,000. Yes. You have a broadcast quality camera in your pocket, and it's cost you nothing with a phone contract. You know, please don't assume that I can necessarily deal with that in my creative journey. But on the flip side, it means that it is emancipating creatives in some respect, because anyone that can harness that technology, it now doesn't need to wait for permission in the traditional sense of, yes, this commissioner, I have to wait for this commissioner to commission me so that they will allow me to put my work on television.
Yes, yeah, and I think, and I think the future, I imagine, I don't know much about like hardware, but I do know that things, even when you think of like illegal streaming and downloading, that through, you know, I'm sure Hollywood and, you know, the big kind of corporations are pushing for technology to find a way that we can no longer illegally stream or download things and etc. And through that, I think artists will be able to find a way to make work and have agency in their work and be in control of their work. And once there's transparency about, so for example, now young people put things on, make amazing work and put it on Instagram and social media. And I think once there's transparency in terms of what that does for whoever runs these platforms, a way will be found so that they are able to do it and feel that there was transparency around all of it.